everybody, my name is Brooklyn, otherwise known as the Dramatic Otaku, and welcome to me blatantly ignoring my exams. You see, I currently should be studying, and I made a goal to myself that, you know, I wouldn't edit a video during my study period. Doesn't mean I wouldn't fucking film a video. Yes, today's video is when I should be doing exams, but I've had so many video ideas pop up into my head and I've got creative juices flowing, and I've wanted to talk about this topic for a while, and when I had free time I just had absolutely no motivation to do stuff. I don't know if I've said this in a video yet, I don't know if I removed it, but I've not been having a good mental health time and doing schoolwork isn't helping. So I've just suddenly gotten the urge to finally fucking talk about spring anime, and the reason for that being is because with my April-May anime and manga otaku review thing that I'm doing on a bi-monthly basis, I don't have any anime in May. None whatsoever. And it's not for lack of trying that there's no anime in May. No, I'm doing the same rule with Attack on Titan Part 2 not being in February, March. That being because the series hasn't finished and I haven't gotten a good, clear idea on the full series as a whole, I won't be including it in that video. So, unfortunately, that means that May is gonna have no anime whatsoever, and there is like, how many more days? There is 4 more days of May as of recording this video, so I'm personally not really gonna binge a shit ton of anime in the next 4 days, as since I'm doing assignment work and I have other things in my life to do, I'm going to end up doing a non-anime May, despite the fact that I've been watching about 10 to 12 series throughout May and April. So the whole reason why I'm making this video is because I do want to talk about spring anime while it is still spring. Technically for me it is autumn going on winter right now, I believe. We are slowly getting into the summer seasons of anime, and I haven't even checked the summer seasons of anime yet, but I want to talk about the spring anime as some of these series are in their 8th episode and will soon finish at 12. Some of these will go on to 25, meaning they'll be straight into the summer season, and I just want to talk about these before starting more summer anime and talking about more anime news. Now, speaking of anime news, before this whole video starts with me rambling on spring anime, I would like to share the fact that the Demon Slayer Season 3 promotional video has been released regarding like character animations for Mitsuri and all that. I haven't watched the trailer in a while, but also the PV, the first PV for Urusei Yatsura 2022 has been released, and it looks gorgeous, it looks shiny, it looks new, and it looks wonderful, and I'm very, very excited for those. Now, onto spring anime, because I have been watching, as I said, roughly 10 different seasons of anime, or 10 different animes, should I say. And they're all simulcasting at the same time. Now, you could be wondering, Brooklyn, how the fuck are you watching all this anime? I have a schedule, a literal physical schedule that I use to keep track with what anime is airing on this day. And I've been using this since April, so as you can see, there's a fair amount of writing here. There's also some series that I have dropped or intended to start but just straight up didn't, because I want to binge it at the end of its series. We're gonna be going into that. I have a list that helps me mentally get through what anime is on what day, and I've been keeping up with that. There have been a couple of weeks where I've had to like just binge a shit ton of anime in one day to keep up to date, which I did actually do that today as well. This has been very helpful with all the anime that I've been wanting to watch. So what anime have I been watching in spring of 2022? I personally have a schedule where it's not necessarily on the days they come out, but the days I started watching them, if that makes sense. And there is 2 series that I will talk about first of all that I haven't started or have started but dropped immediately because too overwhelming, too many series at once. So that would be, I think it's Shikimori's Not Just Cute. That is the first series. I haven't started it. It looks very adorable. I like the art style. The thing with spring anime this quarter is a lot of the art styles are very similar. Like, by that I mean it's got like the same shiny palette, the same like pastel colors. Obviously it's spring, so you'd assume pastel colors. But yeah, I wanted to watch Shikimori, but just didn't really appease to me all that much. Like, I've got a lot of slice of life anime, I've got 2 or 3 romance anime, and with, obviously because it's, again, spring is like the huge influx of slice of life and romance anime, and having another one on top of that was just like, do I really want that? So I didn't watch Shikimori. I want to watch that after it's finished airing, and I don't know if that's going to be a 12 episode season or a 24 episode season. So 25 episode season, should I say. The next one that I started but then dropped after episode 2 was Aoashi. Now, I think I mentioned this in when I was like doing the Najimi Osana video. I don't know how to describe Aoashi. It is a very typical shonen sports anime compared to the other 2 sports anime that will be on this list. Aoashi it seems to be on like the same level as Haikyuu, but personally for a spring anime, it was too sort of in your face for me. I figured it would be better maybe as a summer anime. I will also talk about how certain animes are doing in regards to each other based on if they would survive outside of spring anime season, but Aoashi, I really think could have been a summer anime as well. It seems a lot more like a summer anime. Personally, Aoashi was just too much, if that makes sense. Where Shikimori was too much like other anime, or at least it did look like that on the surface. Aoashi was just too much energy for me going into the season. It also started very late into the season, so I didn't want to start really watching it at this point in time, so I dropped it. Now, speaking of anime that started too late into the season, finally Netflix is starting to release Komi-san. Now, I did finally realize why Komi-san started so late into the season, and it was because giving us extra time for the dub to be released as well alongside the sub for Komi-san. Obviously it's Netflix and I have Australian Netflix, so it's not immediately gonna be released to everyone. It's gonna need to be released with an English dub for it to be released to Australian Netflix, kind of obviously. Especially since it's a Netflix original and not a outsourced from another place and put on Netflix necessarily, if that makes sense. So the reason why Komi-san started so late for me is because it needed the English dub to go with it to be put on Netflix for me, but so I started watching Komi-san. It's great so far. I love it. I'm only on like episode 3 or 4 of season 2, so, and yeah, it started pretty late in the season. It started at the end of April, unlike all of the other anime that I'll be talking about today, which started in the first week of April. So I'm only on episode 3 or 4 of season 2. It's very good so far. An unfortunate side effect of me watching Komi-san, understanding that Najimi Osana is a pun as a name and cosplaying Najimi Osana more than once, is the fact anytime I'm watching fucking Tomodachi Game and I hear childhood friends, which is Najimi Osana, or Osana Najimi should I fucking say, Osana Najimi, I'm just, I cannot unsee that child in my head. I cannot unsee Najimi every time I hear it. And there is a surprising amount of times it is said throughout spring anime in total, but in Tomodachi Game in general, oh my god. So yes, Tomodachi Game. I'm gonna struggle with saying Tomodachi Game as much as I am. Okay, so Tomodachi Game. Now, I do reckon I'm going to get a little little bit of hate from the people who are like, die hard, Tomodachi Game is the most underrated anime of this season. It's not. Obviously, with the spring anime season, the top tier, most recognized, well-known, most hyped anime for this season is obviously SpyXfamily and Kaguya-sama Love as well. Maybe also Shikimori. I've seen Crunchyroll push Shikimori quite a bit, but I've seen this so many times with people saying Tomodachi Game is the underrated anime of this season. It is not. I swear to God. I've been watching Tomodachi Game. That's apparently a really good manga that goes along with it. I would be interested in reading the Tomodachi Game manga. However, I really just want to get to the end of the season before getting into the manga itself, much like with SpyXfamily. I will be talking about SpyXfamily, but not until the end of this video, so you will have to wait until the end of this video to see SpyXfamily. Anyway, Tomodachi Game. The only reason I bring up the fact that people are saying it's the underrated anime of the season is because I keep somehow finding myself into the highly toxic comments of the Crunchyroll comment section, and just, oh my God, every single anime that I'm going to talk about has some really toxic people in the comment section. I don't understand why, and I know you guys will probably say, well, why are you in the comments? You don't need to be in the comments. Curiosity killed the cat and satisfaction brought it back. That was my mentality going into the comment section, but there is no satisfaction in the comment section. There was a lot of people saying Tomodachi Game is the underrated anime of the season. Absolutely not. It is one of the biggest anime of the season, from my opinion. Honestly, Tomodachi Game, in general, if you like the likes of, and I know people are gonna get really angry with me if they're really into Tomodachi Game, Squid Game, Danganronpa. If you like those two anime, have liked those two anime, liked the games of Danganronpa, have liked any sort of like group mystery type anime or TV show, give Tomodachi Game a watch, because it really does remind me of that Danganronpa. I would dare even say the Corpse Party games, but not necessarily, not the anime, fuck the Corpse Party anime. The games, maybe, but it does give me that group of, it does give me that kind of vibe that you've been thrown into a game, don't know what the fuck is going on. Unlike with Danganronpa, Corpse Party, and Squid Game, nobody dies. Thus far, from what I know. I'm currently in episode, I believe, 8 of this series. It is very interesting. Honestly, Tomodachi Game is an anime that I really look forward to watching every single week. It's got lots of like twists and turns and mindfucks a lot. Mindfucks aplenty. Personally, I really like this anime. It is very similar to those. If you like those shows, anime, once again, I would give this a watch. It is not underrated whatsoever. I think it's getting the amount of hype that it deserves. It maybe needs a little more hype. I'm sure in like a couple months or a couple years when it's fully released and people are like, oh yeah, I want to watch this. This is a pretty good anime. It will get the hype that it deserves. Honestly, it does feel very similar to, as I mentioned, the shows before, but in a good way. Again, there's no death, there's no gore. There is very suggestive themes in this anime. There is very gratefully a trigger warning at the beginning of one of the episodes. I can't remember which episode it is. There's a lot to this anime. It follows this one guy, Yuichi, and he, along with 4 of his friends, has been dropped in the Tomodachi Game. They have to, in this Tomodachi Game, eliminate a debt that they've all been given. I think it's 20 million yen from memory. And they have to go through these games, be best friends, trust each other. Obviously that doesn't end up happening, but they have to trust each other, get through the games, and if they win the Tomodachi Game, their debt is like completely paid off or something like that. Thus far in the series, they're currently going into the 3rd game, they're halfway through the 3rd game, and Yuichi is not a character you would necessarily expect. Future Diary, that is another anime that is very similar to Tomodachi Game in the terms of like the twist and you don't know the backgrounds of these characters and everyone's a little bit darker than they seem to be. That's the kind of vibe that's you got going into this anime, right? And Tomodachi Game, Yuichi as a character is very interesting because you can tell there's something very fucked about this character. He's had a poor upbringing, he has to choose between money and friends. This series is pretty good. The first game intrigues you, it only goes for about 1.5 episodes. The second game does drag on a little bit. It goes for about 4 episodes from memory. Honestly, I almost dropped Tomodachi Game because of that, because I felt like it could be condensed a little bit more. And they're going into the third game, and I reckon the third game will go on for 3 or 4 episodes. It's already gone on for 2 episodes. So yeah, there is a lot to be unraveled in this anime and a lot to think about. Thankfully, you don't have to go into huge analysis into some of the things that go on in this series. There is at one point a little plot twist. This anime is very twists and turns, may I say, but there's a little twist where Yuichi outs one of his friends as being the person who put them into the Tomodachi Game, because no one knows who put everyone into the Tomodachi Game. I won't say who it is, but Yuichi outs them, and on one of the episodes they said, well, if you look back at the different rounds, you'll see what they did, and I'm just sitting there going, please don't make me fucking do that. Please tell me they'll sum it up. They do in the very next episode. They sum up what exactly has happened and how Yuichi has exposed the traitor. But at some points it'll be like, well, we've given you this little crumb of information, but we're not gonna give you the rest of it just yet. You're gonna have to wait, or maybe theorize about it, or read the manga. So Tomodachi Game is very twisty and turny, and you get all of these different scenarios of how the fuck is this gonna play out? How do you fix this? How did that character figure that out? So it's yeah, it's one of those anime. And the reason why I don't think it's underrated is because it stands out, okay? It stands out of all of the fucking anime that's slice of life, that is romance. A lot of the anime that I'll be talking about is slice of life and romance and sports-ish. I say ish because there's 2 anime. One is directly a sports anime, and I consider Dance technically kind of a sports anime, but not really. At the same time, that's why I say sports-ish. But Tomodachi Game is different from the rest of those anime. It is a very strong, mysterious anime. I personally really like mystery anime, or anime with mysterious elements that all ties up at the end of the series. I hope this fucking series does that. Knowing how Tomodachi Game is going, it will probably have more than 1 season, depending on how many volumes of the manga there is. I haven't checked. And as a whole, I really, really love Tomodachi Game. It is a really good anime. I wouldn't say it's hugely standout, but it is definitely not underrated. I would highly suggest this and give it a watch. I give it 8 out of 10 thus far, halfway through the series. I probably should also mention that with all of these series, I did say I was halfway through them. All of these series, with the exception of Komi-san, I am roughly in episode 7, 8, and 9 of each of these anime. The next series that we will be talking about is one of those sports anime that I mentioned earlier. We're going to be talking about Love or Play. Now, I am very disappointed in Love or Play. Honestly, it started off on such a good note. Such a good note. I thought it gave off the initial vibes I did talk about in my Osana Najimi video, was that it gave off the vibes of it's trying to be free and high Q at the same time. I've still gotten that vibe throughout the series thus far. And I reckon it's going to be 25 episodes long, maybe it'll be 12. I highly doubt it'll be 12, but maybe it'll be 12 episodes. That is because Love or Play started off really strong. It had a really good concept. The first episode was spectacular. It didn't tell you too much, but it didn't also keep information from you, if that makes sense, right? Second and third episode was pretty good. Fourth to 8th episode. Okay, especially the last 2 episodes being the 8th and the 7th episode, there has just been too many repeating shots and too many repeating like scenes. A lot of the action is very freeze. I'm going to show you this one picture, and they probably didn't have a huge budget when making Love or Play, but just there are a lot of threads there that could like feed in to the anime and make it better and make it more interesting. However, there are too many threads and it's getting all tied up in a knot, and it's really confusing at some points. There isn't a whole lot where you're meeting the main character. Like, this guy's the main character and there's just not... You're meant to be following his story and you just aren't, right? And it doesn't do it in the same way that Free does it or Haikyuu does it. Usually with sports anime like this, there is a solid through line, and that is the main character's plot. That is Hinata's plot. That is Haru's plot. You don't get it with this guy. You'll get him sometimes. Not often. And I just cannot connect with him whatsoever. And that thing I mentioned where there's a lot of repeating shots, I think it's in episode 7 alone, which is Willpower. There is like 6 or 7 times the same shot of the captain standing in front of a poster is shown. Okay, so a slight correction here. What I meant to say was, in one episode there is roughly 6 or 7 different flashbacks, but they're for the most insignificant moments. There's 2 specific flashbacks that are just completely insignificant to the plot, in my humble opinion, and they get played multiple times in one episode, which all tallies up to about 6 or 7 different flashbacks for these 2 moments combined. This is a bit excessive. I would expect this throughout the series as a whole, not in one episode. This anime really did have potential for me, and I am going to keep watching it, see how many episodes it gets to. I'm going to keep watching it, see if it gets better, but at this point, it's just like, I know production quality goes down as the anime progresses, but this is... it is a very pretty anime, for what it's worth. Some of the characters are amazing. There is this one character who is literally just starting to learn how to play badminton. They are my favorite. They are so adorable. There's also just a weird amount of the older sister in this anime. The main character's older sister, you wouldn't think she's in it as much as she is. She is in it a lot, and it seems to be a big part of the story, despite not being in it as much as she probably should be if she is a big part of the story, if that makes sense. So the basic plot is the main character wants to play badminton, wants to like go up against his like idol and like play badminton with them, against them, stuff like that, and like make each other better. But when he gets into high school, he meets a bunch of new friends, and in the first episode, the main character has a whole little crisis because he's leaving his best friends behind. When he gets into high school, that's gone. His best friends don't come up again until episode 8. But he meets a bunch of friends and he's trying to keep up with school, and he's trying to like do badminton, and he's getting like hounded on by his idol, who's apparently a big bully who has a crush on his older sister, and it's just like, what is going on? I will applaud this anime for being somewhat realistic in the terms of like doing his sport and then going home and studying and all that shit. It's realistic. Is it entertaining? No! Love or Play does have its moments.
じゃあユサさんが泣いてたのってもしかして
When it comes to plot-wise, as I said, it's trying to be Haikyuu and free at the same time. It's trying to be free in, I think, like Haru and Rin's like dynamic. One makes the other better, but I'm seeing like it's sort of trying to be the Rin Haru kind of dynamic, and it's just not. Like, they're really trying to make it Yusa is pushing the main character into like being the best he can be. It's not doing that well. The series is not doing that well. Especially when you have another character who's like, hey, I'm here too. I'm good too. Push me forward too. And it's just like, it's too conflicting. Like, I can see how this dynamic would work and can work really well. I've seen it in other sports anime. It's not working that well in this sports anime. If the sports anime goes to 25 episodes, maybe this will be brought on more, but Love All Play is quite disappointing for me. I can see all the threads of a good sports anime there. Truly, it is trying to be Free and Haikyuu, and it cannot mesh that dynamic because Free is a lot more slice of life based, and Haikyuu is a lot more I will be the best based, right? And it's leaning more onto the side of Free, but it still wants to be Haikyuu at the same time. And I will compare it to these two anime because that is the vibe that I'm getting from these two anime. It's not being like Yuri on Ice, it's not being Kuroko no Basket. It's trying to be Free, and it's trying to be Haikyuu at the same time, and it's just not. Honestly, Love All Play is very disappointing, and if I had to give it a score, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. It does have its moments where it makes me laugh, and when it does, it's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty good when it makes me laugh. Moving forward with sports anime, since I did talk about Love All Play, maybe I should also talk about this next anime, which I partially consider sports anime as like, because, you know, ballet technically can be considered a form of art or sport. It's physical exercise. I don't know why I consider it a sports anime. It just gives me that vibe in a little bit of a sense. But Dance Dance Dancer really surprised me. If anything, out of all of these, Dance Dance Dancer truly is the underdog of the season, because I always find it difficult to get into Dance Dance Dancer, but when I watch the episode, it's just like, I need more. Like, it's surprisingly really good. Like, it is, I didn't think a show about ballet would be this interesting, and I've done ballet, so I have like slight prior experience to doing dance, and I didn't think Dance Dance Dancer would be all that interesting. It is so interesting. Okay, so you have this boy, so you've got the main character Junpei. He is like, at the start of the series, he is like trying to be this manly man. I'm a manly man. I am the only man in my family, and I am the best. I'm masculine as fuck. And then some events occur. Apparently Junpei has always loved ballet, and he wanted to be a ballerina, but then his father died, and he's like, I have to be the man of the house. I am a man. And Junpei has not been able to connect to him doing ballet and doing stuff like that. It's when this girl, Miyako, who in the start of the series just plays the piano, when she sees Junpei do a flying kick, because he does a martial arts, she sees him do a flying kick and goes, hey! That's a ballet move. Do you want to come dance at my mum's ballet studio? And Junpei at first is like, no, fuck no, absolutely not. But then Miyako's really cute, and Junpei has a big crush on Miyako. So Junpei ends up at the ballet studio. He starts to do dancing in secret, and that's when a competitor comes in, Mori Luo. Luo is Miyako's cousin, and Miyako loves watching Luo dance, and Junpei, super jealous. super jealous. Okay, so the series as a whole is essentially Junpei and Luo kind of competing to be the best dancer, because as the series progresses, it's no longer Junpei wanting to dance because he wants to impress Miyako. It is Junpei wanting to dance because he's reigniting his love for ballet that he had as a kid before his dad died. So it is just so interesting seeing Junpei progress as a dancer and like his turmoil with like the really prissy ballet world that's like really uptight, and then like him being himself and just wanting to dance and wanting to like have a good time, feel his emotions in the music, and like get sparks and like crackles of enjoyment, and just is such a good series. And it's something that I love that's been happening in the last couple of episodes is Luo is starting to get more competitive. He started off as this really like uptight, really reserved character, kind of quiet. He was a bit bullied. In the last 2 episodes, which has been episodes 7 and 8, he's become feral, which I fucking love. He's become so feral towards Junpei because he's like competing with Junpei, but then Junpei's not competing with him, so Junpei's like, who are you competing with? So their dynamic is the one that like level play is trying to do, where Junpei's getting better and he's trying to bring Luo with him. He wants to be on the same dancing level as Luo, and Luo gets so offended that Junpei wants to be anything like him. It is so funny. And Miyako is a background character who is very important to the plot. She's not necessarily a main character, though she kind of is at the same time, but she's really, really important. So, like, my anime list says that Miyako is one of the main characters. I think she's more so a supporting character that's really, really important. I wouldn't really call her a main character, but she may become more important as the series progressed. In the first couple of episodes, yeah, sure, she was probably a main character, but as they're going into this arc where they're at a summer dance festival, because Junpei fucked up, and now essentially Junpei fucked up. The only way that he can fix things if he gets this lady to acknowledge him as a dancer, as a ballet dancer, and if he does, then he will have no longer fucked up. And Luo is there for the ride, and Junpei is starting to get more friends in dance, and it's really fun and it's really exciting, and he's so just, oh my god, I love him. Honestly, Dance Dance Dancer is phenomenal. Honestly, yeah, Dance Dance Dancer is probably my underrated anime of the season. I'm sure a lot of people had their eyes on it because it's by Mappa, but honestly, Dance Dance Dancer is probably one of, if not the, underrated anime of the season. I wouldn't say it's one of the underrated anime of the season because it does slot really well into the spring anime slot. It's a slice of life anime. It has to do with the arts. I wouldn't say it's like Your Lie in April. It's got very similar aesthetics, but it's absolutely not the same whatsoever. Literally what you're doing in Dance Dance Dancer is putting a soccer kid into dance. And it's really funny to see him progress as a dancer. So I would highly suggest Dance Dance Dancer. It is genuinely an engaging anime, and I would highly suggest it, especially if you do sort of like Yuri on Ice and maybe Haikyuu as well. I would give it a watch then. Maybe also if you like Your Lie in April, though it has the same aesthetics, not the same themes as Your Lie in April. But yeah, I really, really enjoy Dance Dance Dancer, and I think you guys will too. Daimon, Recipe for Happiness. I'm not sure how I feel about the anime. It is like the definition of slice of life, and it's very quaint. It's also pretty boring at some points. It can be really boring. Like, you do get entangled into the lives of these characters, but the problem is it's not hugely engaging unless you really, really like slice of life anime. I got interested in it mainly because it looked like an anime where you'd be making wagashi sweets which you do. I don't know why, but I thought it'd be like a Food Wars kind of thing. Don't know why I thought that. No, it is fully a slice of life anime. It does have a huge like emphasis on sweets, as the main characters work in a wagashi sweet shop, and you detail like the mysteries about the character Itsuka. She was abandoned essentially at the store, and one of the other main characters, Nagomu, who abandoned the store because he's the child of the owners of the store. He comes back, meets Itsuka, and he's essentially now trying to be her father figure and trying to get along with her. Everyone's disappointed in Nagomu because he left for 10 years. And everyone kind of shits on Nagomu because of it. I mean, understandable, but still. This show is very, very wholesome. I would absolutely recommend it for people who like wholesome slice of life anime. There is a little bit of a mystery going on with who Itsuka's father is, and like her trying to get back to her father because her father is the one who abandoned her. We have yet to meet Itsuka's father, but it is heavily implied, or at least I think it is, that Itsuka's father is Nagomu's senpai who taught Nagomu how to play guitar, and that's meant to be like some sort of like through line, and that's like how Itsuka sees Nagomu low-key as her father as well. I wouldn't say I really love this series. It can be very, very boring. Personally, I wouldn't binge this series. I do like this series. Personally, I would give it probably a 7 out of 10, just because it's not my favorite. It's very refreshing, and I really like learning the little tidbits about wagashi sweets and like getting to see them animated. There is like an art style thing where every shot has like a little bit of a white border because everything's sort of been like watercolor painted in the background. That irritates me a lot. I don't know why. I just find myself looking at it a lot, and that's a problem because I shouldn't be. I think you'll like Daimon if you watch Fruits Basket. Personally, it is that very slice of lifey. It's not hugely comedic, but it is very sweet, very refreshing, and you get a lot of insight into wagashi sweets, surprisingly. I'm very interested to see where this goes, especially with Itsuka's father, and with the relationship between Nagomu and his ex. Daimon's pretty boring if you're not into slice of life anime. Would I binge it? Not necessarily. If you're into Fruits Basket and that kind of anime, just without the romance, I would suggest it, but otherwise it's a pretty cute, pretty good anime. If you want to know stuff about like wagashi sweets, maybe then watch it as well, because it's pretty cute. It's not hugely informative, but it is pretty cute and does actually give you a little bit of information about the histories or folklore or stuff like that around certain wagashi sweets and why certain wagashi sweets look different ways in different parts of Japan. Okay, now that's all been said, I get to talk about some of my favorite, with the last 4 anime I get to talk about are some of my favorite, if not my absolute top tier favorite animes of this season. So we're gonna start with the one that actually surprised me. It was a late entry into the list of anime that I wanted to watch, and that is Heriones Run the show. Now, this is a very stereotypical romance anime. This, it's very like Cinderella story. This like meh looking girl moves to Tokyo to do running, to do track, to do hurdles for what she wants to do, because she's a country bumpkin, so she like no high schools in her area like had track teams that could go to nationals, and her dream is to go to nationals and win nationals and stuff like that. So she moves to Tokyo. She lives in Tokyo, but soon she's unable to like support herself because her family can't keep sending her money because her dad has hurt his back. So she needs to find a job. She does with this company that is an idol company, and she is their manager in training. It just so happens that the idols that she's the manager in training for is the two guys sitting in front and behind her who were total arseholes to her on her first day of school. Heriones Run the show is very, very cute. It is a very, very cute, wholesome, slice of life romance. Hiyori as a main character is very, very fun, and she's adorable, and I love her, and she is like my favorite character in general. I feel her on a spiritual level, and she is fantastic. Hiyori is very naive and also very like blunt. She is also very hardworking and motivated, and that is what makes her such a endearing main character. At first, she hates idols because Yujiro and Aizo are big dicks to her, and when she becomes their manager, that doesn't change. So Yujiro and Aizo slowly, very slowly, start to fall in love with Hiyori, and you can see that change happen around episode 5, I want to say, when Hiyori's friend Nagisa comes into play, and you can slowly start to see them fall in love with Hiyori. I hope they don't really go into too deep into the romance anime aspect. I'm hoping they more so go into I hope they sort of stay on the track of Yujiro and Aizo being friends and becoming friends and better friends to Hiyori. I don't think there'll be any confessions in this season. There's only going to be 12 episodes, and I don't think this is the kind of anime that will have a second season, unfortunately. But it's really fun, and this is a really fun and funny anime. This is another anime where I absolutely cannot wait to watch it. I honestly keep forgetting that it's going to be on Fridays. I keep thinking it's going to be up on Wednesdays for some reason, or on Thursdays. I get so excited for this anime. It is such a fun anime, and it does have that like leaning in aspect of typical like idol anime, but not as huge. When I say idol anime, I think I feel a lot more like it's similar to Magical Girl Ore, in the sense that the idol part is like half part of the story, but isn't the main focus of the story, where the main focus of the story is obviously the main characters and behind the scenes. It feels very much like a webtoon, and I cannot remember the name of the webtoon that I was reading, but it was an idol webtoon, and while you did get to see aspects of the idol's life, as an idol, you also got to see mostly the idol's life behind the scenes. So that's what this anime is, and I really enjoy it. It's really funny. Yeah, I really enjoy it. It is very fitting of spring anime, but also is very wholesome, very cute. I would highly recommend. It is a solid 9 out of 10 for me, personally. I would really like it if it didn't lean into the romance aspect, but I know it's going to, and it's going to be really cute when it does. But still, the next one, possibly like one of my favorite of the entire anime season, is Aharen-san Hakarenai. I love this anime. Okay, so personally, Aharen-san can get quite boring and repetitive, similar to Daimon. However, Aharen-san is just, it's wonderful. The first time I watched it, I struggled to keep my laughter in because I was on the train. And I was going to continue watching it on the train, except for the fact that things happened where I didn't need to go into the city. It is the type of anime where you can watch it anywhere, and it's really funny, and it's adorable, and Aharen-san herself is adorable, and it's very subversion humor where you think something's gonna happen and something else completely happens, and yeah, there are certain episodes where it feels like it's on repeat, especially in the dynamics between Raido and Aharen-san, where Raido will challenge Aharen-san to something and then he always loses, and there is a slight essence of like a Chibonya kind of character going on with Raido, with him over analyzing everything in like the most absurd scenarios going on. There's like this ongoing joke where if Aharen-san is good at something, him and Aharen-san can be the best at it, at the world, beat the world, be together forever, and be the best of pals. And I love it, and it's really funny. It does get repetitive. Admittedly, This anime does get repetitive, but I tune in every week because there's always something funny and always something meme-worthy to screenshot. This is like the meme-worthy like anime. It is adorable. The aesthetics are adorable. I love it. I fear that it may be starting to go into the romance aspect, and I'm pretty sure from memory I described it in my upcoming 2022 anime video as a romance anime, and I think one of the tags for it is a romance anime, but it is predominantly a comedy anime. And personally, if you like Komi-san Can't Communicate, this is the perfect anime for you. It's got enough quirky character traits from the two main characters themselves to fill half the cast of Komi-san Can't Communicate. Aharen-san wa Hakarenai is a really good anime. I would highly suggest it. The two main characters are so quirky and fun and amazing, and it's a really good comedy anime, to be quite honest. A really good slice of life comedy anime. It's very cute. I have so many screenshots from the series, and honestly, this teacher character is me.
毎日この二人であらゆるシチュを想定しているのよ。あ、これやばい。ちょっとやりすぎた。意識が。
There's like so much relatability and just so many laughs I've had with this series. It does get a little bit boring and repetitive, as do most anime, as does most comedy anime, but I would highly recommend Aharen-san Hakarenai. I wasn't expecting a lot from this anime when I first looked at it. Like when I first saw the poster to see what was coming up, I didn't expect a lot from this anime. This anime is quite possibly, if not definitely, is my absolute favorite anime of spring 2022. It's my favorite of the non-super popular. It's my favorite of the non-hyper super popular anime. But it is quite possibly, one of my favorites for spring of 2022.
あわれ、あわら、あわれっと。
Now we can talk about Kaguya-sama and SpyXfamily. I've said this multiple times. I don't need to go into depth about how much I love Kaguya-sama Loves War, and I believe Kaguya-sama Loves War season 3 is going to be having 12 episodes, much like its two predecessors. So as of this week, Kaguya-sama Loves War will be going into its 8th episode, and much like I predicted, it's going into the cultural festival arc. With it going into episode 8, I am actually starting to get worried that we won't see little Kaguya and the after effect of the cultural festival. However, episode 7 has set up the cultural festival, meaning that the next episode is most likely going to be the cultural festival. I reckon there'll be 2 episodes on the cultural festival, this possibly being number 8 and number 9. Hopefully that leaves 10, 11, and 12 for the afters of the cultural festival. But I do have to say, I am in love with this season. As with all seasons of Kaguya-sama, I love them. But just, what was it, episode 5? Where it was Chika and Shirogane rapping the entire episode. I was so worried that they'd skipped over that for one episode because they showed it and they hinted at it, but I didn't. I was so worried that they were just going to take out that section completely, because I loved that chapter from the manga and it did have to do with Shirogane and Hayasaka arc. It did have a lot to do with that, and I'm assuming season 4 will further go into depth for that arc.
なんで?
Very worried that we won't get little Kaguya. I will be so disappointed if we don't get little Kaguya in this season. With 5 episodes left of Kaguya-sama season 3, it is so highly likely that we will get little Kaguya, and I think the next episode, if not the next 2 episodes, because there is a lot of content to pack into the cultural festival. You have Ishigami accidentally confessing to Tsubame. We have obviously the Kaguya and Shirogane kiss going on. We have Chika going on the hunt and doing random shit. I think we also have a little section dedicated towards Hayasaka and Kaguya. And also we have Miko and the bonfire, and that has been set up in episode 7, which makes me think episode 8 is going to be the start of the cultural festival, and the second part of the cultural festival will be in episode 2, much like what they did with the sports festival. Now, I want to go back to the rap episode for a second, because they did, much like with the Chika Fujiwara Chika dance ending that they had, I think, for episode 1, episode 5 of season 3 had its very own personal ending with my non-fiction as the ending theme. I fucking loved it. They fully leaned into that in that episode. Also, I was not expecting to hear Chika say fuck and motherfucker and imply BL in that episode.
私は知りたい男同士の行為応援するべき
I completely forgot she does that, but like just hearing her say that just threw me through a loop. And I think, what did Shirogane say? Shirogane says something about blue balls or something like that. It was really funny, and I want those sound bites forever. Like, oh my god, I love them. I love them. I love them. So yeah, Kaguya-sama Love this season is fucking awesome. I love my non-fiction. I love how they slightly changed up the art style for my non-fiction. I've been listening to the full version of that song on repeat because it's so good and I love it. I love how the fucking voice actors themselves rapped, obviously, because they kind of had to. And yeah, I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, but it was really fucking good. I also love the little reference to Queen in that episode that Kaguya does. It's so good. I just love it. I just love it. It wouldn't be fair to rate Kaguya-sama Love because it's like my favorite anime of all time, other than like these two others that I like. But speaking of possibly the best anime of the season, where Kaguya-sama Love fits in to the typical spring anime block, that being like romance, slice of life, all that stuff, we have SpyXfamily. Now, I've talked about how SpyXfamily is so super popular with my friends, and personally, I think SpyXfamily being released in the spring block has made it significantly more popular than it probably would have been if it was put in, say, the winter block, because SpyXfamily doesn't really fit into the spring block in its conventional sense, the same with like Tomodachi Game. I think the reason those two are like as popular as they are is because they've been put into a block that doesn't really fit the typical genres that like most anime fans expect in the spring for the spring block. And that's not to say that SpyXfamily isn't a good series. Obviously, SpyXfamily has had huge praise for its manga and how funny its manga is, similar to Kaguya-sama. But unlike with Kaguya-sama, where Kaguya-sama fully fits into the spring slot, SpyXfamily doesn't. I would describe SpyXfamily as more of a winter or autumn anime, but putting it in spring is such a smart decision. Obviously, everyone knows that the biggest anime of winter was Attack on Titan. You don't really want your anime to be put in the same block as Attack on Titan, right? So putting it into spring, where its only competitor is like Kaguya-sama, which will be a juggernaut in itself because it's going into its 3rd season. Having your first season of SpyXfamily in this block is just so smart in a business sense, and honestly, because it's so different and also because it's so well renowned in its manga, putting it in this slot is just so so smart to do. But again, that's not to say that SpyXfamily isn't a good anime. SpyXfamily is fucking fantastic and I love it so much, like so many of you at home. Fucking SpyXfamily is so good! I would die for Yor and Lloyd Forza, and especially Anya. Honestly, I fucking love SpyXfamily. The like peak humor, the fast pacing of the show that's not too fast, but it's like, it's fast paced in like obviously a comedy spy action thriller thing. I think I would probably put the comedy at the same level as the 2006 Pink Panther movie, honestly, like, or in a similar vein in terms of pacing. It's fast paced, it's funny, and it's good to watch. That's what it reminds me of, honestly, the 2006 Pink Panther movie, but in terms of writing, I think obviously SpyXfamily is a lot better.
謝罪の受け入れ完全拒否だとプラン B 積んだ
Lloyd's character is so awesome. I would die for that man. I love like how he keeps going, I have to do this for the country and the safety of the world, but also this is my daughter. And he doesn't yet like fully comprehend that this is his daughter, but they're gonna, by the end of the series, come on, they're gonna be an actual family by the end of the series. I know it. And I don't mean the anime series, I mean the manga series. But yeah, I'm currently on episode 7 going into episode 8. I can't wait to meet the brother. My friend reads SpyXfamily, so apparently the brother's really, really funny. And they've been like anticipating his arrival into the series for a long time. So yeah, I really, really love SpyXfamily. So yeah, I fucking love SpyXfamily. It's the same with Kaguya-sama. I don't really have a lot bad to say about it, and I'm very excited for this series. And I will 100% be reading the manga once the anime series is finished. So yeah, that has been all the anime that I have been watching in spring of 2022. Again, this is from halfway through the anime. Most of these are in their last 4 or 5 episodes. Some of these will be going to 25 episodes. I don't know which is which. I haven't really checked which is which. I'm assuming most of them will be going to 12 episodes. And with my April-May anime and manga review coming out in a couple of weeks, I would rather not wait, because then it wouldn't be April-May, it would be April-May and June. So I personally would rather do a full review in June-July than have to wait a little more time to get the April-May-June review. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed me rambling about these anime. I've been wanting to talk about these anime for so fucking long. And thank you for indulging me in not being, or not having to fucking work on my assignment for school that's due. If you could also please like and subscribe, that'd be so very much appreciated if you haven't already, because I am trying to hit 1,000 subscribers and I can't do that without your help, and I would appreciate it so very much. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're having an amazing day, night, weekend. Why do I always say weekend? I upload every Wednesday, occasionally on Friday at 10 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. And I hope to see you all next time. Bye!